everyone, and welcome to the Brightside here on 1FM 91.3. We have with us the founder, the CEO of Future Grail. It's an amazing watch investment company and more. He is Ali Nael, and he's going to tell us more about investing with luxury timepieces and also about his own collection of luxury watches as well. Join us on air in just a few seconds, okay, guys? Hope you enjoyed that one from Bruce Springsteen. That was Dancing in the Dark here on the Brightside. Good morning to you. In the studio with us, handsome chap here.
Thank you.
Hey, he is the founder and the CEO of Future Grail. It is a watch investment advisory company. He is Ali Nael. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to tell you a little bit about Future Grail itself. You are a native of Beirut, and you actually started this whole, collection of luxury timepieces. This was in 2009.
Correct.
And look at you now. You are advising others, collectors, interested investors as well, about collecting luxury timepieces. And Future Grail, you just set up this beautiful place right here in Singapore. There's even a watch museum. We'll tell you more about it. Let's start first. Tell us more about Future Grail and why did you start it?
Actually, it's a realization of a dream. I've always had the dream of having to display a collection in Singapore, where we can share the knowledge and history of these watches with collectors. But also, after 13 years bidding in auctions and traveling around the world, I realized a lot of problems in the industry, in the watch industry, that we would like to address and resolve. And Future Grail is a solution, for collectors all over the world.
Right, because I think, about how authentic the pieces are they genuine?
Correct.
What are these problems that you speak of that you encountered yourself, because you are a collector of these luxury timepieces?
Actually, it's exactly what you said. It's about the quality. Is the watches polished? Is it restored? Is it redone? Where's the provenance? Is parts swapped? There's a lot of problems in especially the vintage market. So you have to have a lot of knowledge and a lot of advice, to be able to buy important historical pieces, that actually are becoming extremely expensive as well.
I know that when you started your interest in 2009, right now you are actually one of the renowned experts, in the collection of luxury timepieces as well.
I just want to ask, Ali, why are luxury watches becoming so popular as an investment?
Well, it's always been popular as an investment for seasoned collectors, or financial savvy investors. It's an heirloom, it's a store of value. It's historically always been the case, but of course in the pandemic things changed. It exploded. The interest exploded.
Right.
People had time. They sit on the computer, learn about the watches, follow people on social media, and they get to follow some people, but also follow their own journey. So I think the pandemic also helped with the extra cash and extra knowledge and extra time. Yeah.
Did you see a rise in purchases during COVID of
big
luxury
time,
watches? Because people weren't traveling. What was that surge like?
I think it's in the hundreds of percent of, because you can see the results from retail or results from auction houses. You'll see, it's there, the data to show you a big increase of interest.
Even up till today, we are like how many years on from the pandemic?
Well, 2020 it started.
You can't even walk, up to now, you walk into a Rolex store anywhere around the world and you can't buy anything.
Correct.
Everything is sold out.
Correct.
There's a huge waiting list. You just go in to admire pieces.
It's true, but this has also been the case before, but only for few models. But it's of course now across the range.
Yes.
It's also for the reason that there's a huge chunk of flippers, we call them. So they buy to sell.
Okay.
There's flippers in watch.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
It's very big, but actually when the market, the pandemic is finished and people start spending a lot of money on travel, very expensive now to travel. I think these flippers reduced, so the private dealers also reduced. Yeah.
I think the flippers don't want to be called flippers, that's for sure. They want a cooler name as well.
What are some luxury brands that you handle or sell or, exhibit?
Top brands, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron, but also a lot of unknown brands, historically important, with a lot of patents, creations. A lot of people created amazing movements and advanced the advance the technology.
Wow.
We must find out more about that, especially about your watch museum. That's a real passion project right there. We're going to jump onto Facebook Live. Join us on facebook.com/1FM913. And hey, chime on in if you have questions. Let us know about it. It could win you this $100 dining voucher from Shirashi Sushi Show. I said it right. Join us.
Can we roll that, please? Right now. Good times.
So I love it, but so many.
A very
It's true.
good morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here. And of course, we've got in the hot seat the founder and CEO of Future Grail, Ali Nael. And we want to ask him, you have a watch museum. This opened as well when you opened Future Grail's office here in Singapore in April of this year. It houses a few hundred ultra rare, vintage Patek Philippe, other historical timepieces from the 19th and 20th century. My goodness, all under one roof.
Correct.
Tell us all about this museum.
I think it's 10 years in the making, you know.
Really?
Of course, I always face the problem that, you can't wear a lot of important pieces, you know.
Really?
You buy them, you store them in a safe, and wait for it,
I have a question about that. Do the watchmakers tell you, please don't wear the watch? It
No,
is
actually,
so
we always
important.
encourage people to wear them. Actually, I want people to do the opposite that I did, by just collecting, hoarding, working extremely hard in my previous industry to pay for all these watches. So I think it's when you're working very hard for something, you should wear it and enjoy it. So Future Grail is a dream that came true where we can display these pieces and I can enjoy them every day myself, but I can now share them with everybody, touch them, enjoy them together. So it's more than that.
That's part of the problem when you collect, is you're putting them in a case or even in a safe.
Correct.
And you feel, I mean, I'd love to know, do you feel sometimes a little bit, oh my gosh, I've got a really nice watch. I'm a bit worried about wearing it outside. Is there ever a concern like that for you?
Up until I opened Future Grail, I was one of these guys. I stick to a couple of pieces to wear myself.
Okay.
But up till now, I wear everything.
Oh, you do?
in Future Grail, of course.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite?
Impossible. Every week I have a different opinion.
Do you walk around with a bodyguard who guards your watch?
Thank you, Singapore. No.
Let's see what you got on now. Let's show the
Oh,
cameras.
that is a beautiful piece.
This is a very vintage piece from 1936.
Whoa.
So,
1936.
It looks like you just got it.
it's a Patek Philippe chronograph. 533 is a very rare reference.
533. And was that something you purchased or was that handed down to you?
Wow.
Purchased.
Ali, I mean, that looks in mint condition. Did you have to restore or did you get it like that?
This is absolutely original condition. It comes from the original family, actually. So it's never been exchanging hands or traded.
Oh my
and is in
God.
That came the way we're looking at it now.
You can see the
Do
patina
you mind
and
if I just-
yeah.
You mean
Just-
the
just-
original
yeah.
family? You mean the Patek Philippe family?
No, the owner of this
Oh,
watch.
right.
yeah.
Okay, I was
So
like,
you can see the
from
patina.
the house of Patek
It's
Philippe.
possible sometimes.
Yeah.
It's possible.
That looks absolutely brand new. That's incredible.
Almost.
Stunning.
It has,
It looks so
oxidations on
good.
the dial. It has dots. It has character, originality.
No, I love
See, he
that.
knows that. He can spot that stuff. To the layman, that looks amazingly new.
Thank you. I love it.
Wow.
No, but
Okay.
it's just the stories that come with each
Yeah.
piece. I'm really appreciating how it's just so personal. It's a
Correct.
wonderful journey. Now, your firm gives expert advice as well as guidance to collectors and investors alike. Can you just share with us, a quick one about the advice that you can share with us right here, and then we'll take it on air as well, about collecting and investing in luxury timepieces? Are there certain pieces that are must-have or great to start a collection with?
I think when I started be interested in properties, I read a lot of books and I learned that location, they say, right? So for watches, for me, it's quality, and I think this has always been very important. But also, again, we touch on the wearability. I think it's important to start at least with the pieces that you will wear, you'll enjoy, and from there your interest will increase, and also your knowledge will increase to start buying obscure brands
Right.
or things from the past. Yeah.
We must talk more about that on air, and you must also talk about a book that you authored about all these luxury timepieces and your love and passion for them as well. To everyone tuning in, our Facebook buddies, chime on in, be it on facebook.com, comment, ask your questions. You can even drop us a WhatsApp at 8850-913 for a moment there. I think I got distracted by your beautiful timepiece on your wrist there. So join in the chat. chat, jump on in. We're going to head back on air in just a bit to hear more about collecting luxury timepieces, even as an investment. Gone, Kelly Clarkson here on the Brightside. Good morning to you. Our conversation does indeed continue with Ali Nael, the founder and CEO of Future Grail. And yes, we have a question.
Yeah, this is coming through WhatsApp. Adrian wants to know what would be a good entry model for a newbie. I hear Tudor is a good start. And do original packaging and certs matter much?
I think box and papers is not very important. It does affect the price, but the premium sometimes is way too high to consider. If you're planning to wear the watch, please don't care about these things. Just care about the quality of the piece. So I think yes, Tudor is a good start. You can also look at independent brands. There's a lot of amazing buys with complicated movements. Get in touch with us. We'll give you some hints of some brands that you can acquire from retailers in Singapore, and worldwide.
Do you have some examples of the independent brands?
You can consider brands we can retail. We retail ourselves, like Constantin Shaikin or Fion or other, Swiss brands that, the retailers like Cortina or Hourglass retail.
Thank you.
Jameson also has a question. He says he has a few watches. Some of them are automatic, and those that are quartz, is it advisable to lift up the crown to adjust the time when not using it so that the battery will not go to waste? That's what he was told by a friend. Is that correct?
Not really. Just make sure, in our opinion, to change the battery every 12 months to 18 months maximum, because you don't want the battery to leak into the movement. The movement will be destroyed. So our advice, no more than 18 months you should change the battery, even if it's working.
Okay, that's a very, very good
I don't think many people
there.
know that, I think people are just quite happy to use.
It's so cheap to change a battery.
Right.
$20, you change it, so why not?
Not if it's a Rolex, because they charge like $1,000 just to change the battery and check the movement, right?
You can find other places to service your own. You can visit Two-Tone Vintage Service Center in River Valley, and we're happy to change your battery.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Good to
We
know.
asked on Facebook Live, your firm gives expert advice as well as guidance to collectors and investors alike about, luxury timepieces. What advice can you share with us? You said on air on collecting as well as investing in these luxury timepieces. It's all about quality. Quality. Tell us more about that.
I think also when you invest in the financial market, you always consider diversification. So if you're a serious collector and you're willing to have a budget every year to buy 1, 2, 3, whatever your capacity is, I think you need to diversify. But what I learned from my own journey is it's a journey. It's really a journey. It's a lifestyle. I changed many times my lifestyle from corporate to cool to jeans.
Hey.
So I think also our interests change over time. So don't be afraid to change your your taste. Sell what you don't like. Swap it into something else. Don't hold on to something that you don't like.
True.
That's very important. I think that's the first advice we give our collectors. If you're not wearing it, you're not enjoying it, it's not worth it.
And it's time to just sell it
And
and
buy
look for
something you like.
something else.
Something you like, yeah.
So it feels like, you apply the same rules as with art, pick a personal piece, a piece that resonates with you as well. And that's a really good way for you to decide what you should keep in your collection or, sell and move on from.
I like what you said about, you change as a person, your
Correct.
styles, your preferences. You don't have to hold on to it, because I think there's still that hoarding mentality when it comes to expensive things. You paid so much for it, I have to keep it around forever.
I'm one of them. But we always evolve, we always learn. We want to enjoy these assets. I think it's very, very important to enjoy them.
So tell us, what are some of the trends you see with luxury watch collecting and investing?
I think market is sometimes followers, so it depends on where the influencers and collectors around the world are swaying collectors. But my advice is always stick to what you like. You don't have to follow the herd. Create your own trends, stick to your lifestyle, and watches have connection. You can put 3 watches identical, same references, same brand, but only one of them will attract you. They have life, they have a soul. I'm not just talking as a collector, it's true. I tested it many times. Different watches have different feelings, so it's important not to buy only on the pictures. Also, you should be able to touch it, feel it. I think most of the mistakes collectors do, they buy online a watch without actually have seen it. Maybe within 1 month they're bored of it because they didn't have that feeling, that connection.
See.
It's like a jewelry piece. isn't it?
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're buying
yeah,
jewelry,
Yeah, I think
something
it's-
catches your
yeah.
eye more than the other.
Correct.
Are you a watch influencer? Do you regard yourself as a watch influencer?
No, I
do you
don't
put
like
yourself
to-
on social media? Or do you like, nah, you don't want to do all that?
Actually, I'm against influencing people.
Yeah.
I'd like to share my own experience,
Right.
and the people that follow my advice or follow. Of course, we have also an amazing team. It's not only me. Arnaud Tellier, the curator and director of the Patek Philippe Museum,
That's
for
right,
12
that's
years
right.
is on the team. So we have different eras, different knowledge. So we can complement as a team each other to advise people what to do.
I think, as you said, you get what suits you, what you like.
Correct.
Don't worry about everyone else.
Correct.
Right.
Set your own trends.
Right.
Oh, I feel like I want to ask him more about what's this trend that he has set for himself. But we are going to take the conversation back on Facebook Live. Join us, facebook.com/1FM913. Remember, chime on in with your questions, and you could win for yourself a $100 dining voucher from Shirashi Sushi Show. Really great Kaizen Dons from this place. And we're going to ask Ali about the book he's written about luxury timepieces. Wow, you set the benchmark really high for collectors, So join us in that conversation.
The Bright Side on 1FM 91.3.
Good stuff.
Very good morning. Welcome back to our discussion with Ali Nael, the founder and the CEO of Future Grail, all about collecting and also investing in luxury timepieces. That is really on the rise in the recent years. Yes, Shehzad.
I, when you showed us that watch, it's 1936, right? You said, that's incredible. I've been seeing on TV. I remember this watch connoisseur like yourself was talking about how polo players back in the day, they were complaining about the polo sticks or the balls ruining their watches. So they went to a watchmaker and said, "Can you make us a watch?" So it was called the reverso. So you could take the face and then flip it so that the face wasn't. There are these kind of amazing stories. Is there any interesting story? You don't have to say it right now. Have a think if you want, because I know we're going to talk about
This book that you've written.
got.
Yeah.
But have a think if there's an interesting story behind a watch and
Sure.
tell us about it. I think you've already got one. I can
I
see
have
a smile.
100. I
You
have
have
100.
100.
I don't know where to start.
Okay.
Oh.
But anyway.
But you are such a passionate collector. Even though you started collecting in 2009, you've even written a book about it. Can you tell us about this book?
Well, when they announced the lockdown in Singapore, I just couldn't stay home. I always had in the back of my mind, how can we share information about Patek Philippe? This always you have to hire an advisor, pay tons of money every year to get this information. So my idea was, okay, we have time, we don't have meetings with clients. I can go alone to the office, and then start doing this project with advisors, of course, overseas to authenticate all the writing. So we came up with an amazing book called My Dream Collection. It's 100 plus Patek Philippe watches with full complete details of the history, how many made, how many movements, why they're rare. I think it's a very, very important book that sits now in libraries, in auction houses, libraries,
Wow.
etc. Yeah. So it's
Fantastic.
making sure that I don't waste any time.
Oh
No,
my God.
brilliant.
Don't waste any time.
The book came out in 2019, just for all the interested collectors tuning in. Where can they get hold of your book? They probably
it's
already
online.
have it.
It's
but yeah.
online. You can go to a website called ppvintage.com and you can purchase it there. Or you
Will
can
your
contact
watch
us.
be in that book? Is
No,
that
this is I acquired it after the book. So, yeah.
okay. Oh, that's a pity.
Never mind.
It would have
Maybe
been a
the
cover.
volume 2, make it
Volume
a
two.
whole series of books.
Yeah.
What I think is really amazing is that watch came from the 1930s, right? Can you imagine walking around with such a piece of history right there on your
Yeah.
wrist, looking at it all the time? I mean, that's such an incredible experience.
You get at least 20 times a smile a day, when you look at the watch like this.
I bet. All right, Ali, we asked you for an interesting story. Have you got an interesting story behind any of these watches?
I do. I can tell you a story. The most challenging watches I ever bought are from Latin America.
Oh,
Why
why?
is that?
Because I don't want to go there. It's quite risky.
And wearing a watch as well. Like that,
So
right.
one day I got a call from a friend in Miami. He said, "Ali, I got hold of a very rare Patek in Guatemala." I said, what? I said, "Guatemala." I said, "I'm very interested, but how can we do this deal?" He said, come to Miami. We figure it out." So I took a flight, of 26 hours. I was dying in the airplane. I reached to Miami, and then the guy said, "You have to go to Guatemala." I said, "I'm not going there." I said, "Why you asked me to come?" I thought I'm coming to pick up the watch. And then we made a few phone calls, and we hired a small Cessna airplane, with a pilot that's
Whoa.
willing to go to Guatemala to pick up the watch for us, in Miami, and then I shipped it from Miami.
So when you
Wow.
were there, yeah.
That sounds like a movie.
It is like a movie. We were like sitting for hours waiting for this guy to see if something will happen.
It's a watch. It's a watch.
And then the watch came, and it was absolutely stunning.
It was worth the trip and all that, right?
It's definitely worth the
Okay.
trip. Yeah,
Okay, fantastic.
So now what happens when you need servicing and repairs? Do you?
I had to hire my own watchmakers. I don't believe to rely on, from experience, I don't want to rely on people. So we built, like an ecosystem of businesses,
Okay.
like Singapore Watch Fair. Well, please visit Singapore
Yes.
Watch Fair on 17th to 21st of October.
Correct.
If you want to buy an independent watch, you must go there because you can meet the creators
Ooh.
themselves and discuss
Okay.
with them, have a personal, touch, and yeah.
Can people come to you to get their watches appraised?
They do. We do that
Okay.
a lot, and we actually represent few insurance companies as the official appraiser.
My
Okay.
goodness, it's really like all in one stop over at Future
It's
Grail.
relentless work, a relentless commitment.
I
Yeah.
bet it is. That watch fair, by the way, as Ali said, from 17th to 21st October at Resorts World Sentosa.
Correct.
Yeah.
So definitely head on over, especially if you're curious about the whole collecting of a luxury timepiece. That is a good place
You
to
can't
start.
miss it because
But if
it's
people
really
can't wait
interesting.
for October, they can go to your
Anytime, please.
museum, right?
Yeah.
So to go to Future Grail or even the Watch Museum, do we have to make an appointment, or are there opening hours to note?
It's advisable to make an appointment between 12 to 6 p.m.
Because you might be on a plane to Guatemala getting another watch piece. Yeah.
to make sure that we can attend to you, because if there's people there, I would love to have a personal one-to-one discussion with people. It's
Okay.
very important for us. That's the whole idea of Future Grail.
Of course.
Go to Pasir Panjang is still, the location is very central.
Right.
So you can anytime book an appointment and come very easy, same day.
So would this be suitable for people who are like entry level as well? They're just starting to, get into the whole luxury watch,
We treat everyone equally. This is our message from day one. We started in the watch industry, and this is a problem that I faced, that you have preferences, the top collectors, VIPs versus, other collectors. So we made it a mission in the last 5 years to treat everyone equal. There's no difference for us who you are,
Don't feel intimidated, right?
Not at all.
Right. Okay. Important.
I think that's a
That's
really
great.
I love it.
Really,
Yeah.
really wonderful. I mean, do you have any interesting stories about the clientele? Especially maybe a new collector and everything. How do you get them started? Anything comes to mind?
3 months ago, I think I have a small story. A guy can say, I think the property market is a bit hot. I want to sell my property and buy a watch. I say, please don't sell your property to buy a watch. Go and work harder, and so you can afford
buy
it.
more property
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
more watches. How young is your youngest customer?
Ooh.
16 years old, and this is Swiss guy. Yeah.
Wait.
Here in
Wait.
Singapore.
No,
Here
in Singapore, I think the youngest I've dealt with in the last few years, his name is Adrian. He was 17 when he started.
Wow.
Whoa.
I feel
What
like
were you
I'm
doing
falling
at 17?
behind.
I
I'm
certainly
falling
wasn't
behind.
collecting watches at
But
17.
new generation is much smarter and much faster than
Right.
we are, and then also the information on the internet, and
That's true.
you can be an expert, quite quickly.
But where do you think you can get really proper, legit info? Because not everything that you see online is reliable, right?
Reach out to us. Actually, it's a free advice most of the time, right? So we spend the whole day advising collectors all over the world for free,
Wow.
So please don't be shy. Go on the social media, message, top collectors that you like, that you admire. They will reply you, and
Okay.
and you can get 4 or 5 advices.
Question. Okay, so I just read about this. Apparently, when it comes to Rolex, which is the most well-known, most beloved, apparently 80% of appraisers can't even tell whether it's a fake nowadays because the copies are so good.
It's true.
Really?
Would you be able to tell just by looking at it, or you'd have to open it up?
We need to dismantle, of course, a
right.
trained eye can tell, but sometimes we're confused,
Just by looking at it, right? You can't tell anymore.
Yeah, so we have to sometimes we have to remove even the dial to see the back, the bezel to see the back. So that's why we need the watchmakers, right, to open the watches professionally and check them,
That's really concerning, though, that the counterfeits are that good now, right?
80% can't tell.
Yeah, because China especially, they learn fast.
They must have these special schools, you know.
And they're very smart.
Hey, but that is really interesting. So watchmakers are also part of your team over at Future Grail.
Correct.
It's really a one-stop all place where
Correct.
it's a great place for you to get great advice, reliable advice as well. Just really quickly, we're going to jump back on air. We want to ask about a watch auction that's going to be
Correct.
taking place very soon. We've got details for you on that. Join us on air.
Ani Kamosi, and here comes the hot stepper, or should we say Ali Nael, behind Future Grail Watches, a luxury, a luxury collector's brand. You can go there. He's got a museum. You can see all his beautiful watches on display. If you're just starting or if you're a seasoned collector, so much to learn from Ali Nael. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Tell us about this
A watch auction
coming
by
up.
Future Grail that's taking place really soon.
Our first auction on 8th to 21st of September. It's an online auction with 180 worldwide collectible pieces. It's a really an amazing auction. It's also another dream that I had, to fix some problems in the market that I see, to give a proper advice to our clients, a proper description, a proper condition report, but also have a diversity for everyone. I think I'd like, to step into the auction market to provide service for the seller and the buyer, cost-effective solution for both parties.
I see. So that was one of the problems you saw in the industry.
I like how he's using the word cost-effective and luxury together at the same time.
I think it's fair because, if you're working very hard to make money and then you go and buy $100,000 watch, you go to an auction today, you pay 30%, 27%. So it becomes too costly for the seller and the buyer to realize any money, and that also goes against our investment advice, because we are advising people to invest in these watches. And if you're paying such a high premium, how you can realize these profits?
Correct. Actually, very quickly on that, what kind of appreciation do we look on watches? I know there's a wide brand, but give us some kind of an idea of what we're looking at as an investment we were talking about earlier.
As long as we do 8, 9, 10, 15%, on some watches, we're very happy because don't forget, if you're wearing it, you made much more money, So if you're wearing the watch, it doesn't matter how much you make as long as you store the value. So we don't really look how much is appreciating, but I can know from my own collection of Patek Philippe over the last 13, 14 years building it, that it made 12 to 15% every year. But this is really highly curated.
Every year.
It's a very rare collection, So actually, go back to that diversification. If you diversify, you will be in good position.
Shehzad, don't forget, he jumped on a tiny plane to Guatemala.
That's true.
To get one of those
So
pieces.
if I don't double on
Rare.
that piece, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I loved how, you pointed out on Facebook Live that you want to make collecting of these luxury timepieces very accessible. You don't want, first-time collectors to be intimidated.
Correct.
And also, you've had young collectors starting out at 16, 17, starting to collect their collection. We need to catch up, guys. Three of us.
it's true.
It's amazing that you were telling us how the younger people are now more savvy when it comes to investing in luxury timepieces. The youngest here in Singapore you've heard of is 17 years old.
Correct.
What kind of advice do you give someone who's able to begin this journey in luxury watches?
I find that the younger generation are, they're more courageous. They're more social savvy people. Even though maybe behind their computers, they're able to reach out to anyone in the world, get a conversation, make friendships. Our generation is a bit more shy, more conservative.
Yes. Yeah.
So also this is a way for you to come to Future Grail and then, even you don't have any watch, you're interested to get that feeling. It's important. Intimidation is a part of it. You shouldn't be intimidated to ask questions or ask advice, and you cannot rely on yourself. That's why I have to build a team as well. I cannot know everything.
Intimidation comes from when walking into a shop, sometimes you get judged. You can see the judgy stares in the eyes of the salespeople because they look at you, they give you the once over and they're like, I don't think this person can afford
You
what
cannot
we
be
have.
a dollar sign. I teach, my sales guys from the beginning. When I was in China 20 years ago, the guy that came with the flip-flop, and the shorts became my biggest client and became So I learned this lesson 20 years ago, and I told them everyone is equal. Don't mind anyone.
Don't judge, right?
Don't judge.
Yeah.
Everyone is equal.
And I gotta say, the super rich, they're really very like low key as well. You know,
Correct.
so yeah, never judge a book by its cover. We go into every shop from now on in flip flops.
You should.
We should, right?
Yeah.
And then jump on that tiny plane to Guatemala.
Ali,
Get that timepiece.
I want to ask, when I see the name Future Grail, is there a holy grail for you in the future? Is there a watch that is the one? The one that you still are aspiring to get that you haven't got yet?
I'm looking at the wall, and it's called 1FM.
Yes, answer.
Every few months, something pop up, and then suddenly, you have to scramble to find the money to pay for it. So actually, dreams change all the time.
Okay.
Change all the time. But every year or every few months, I have, a connection with the watch.
Okay. And you feel,
Yeah, I feel
you and
it.
me together,
Yeah,
we're going to make
it's
some
your
history.
time, baby.
Okay. That should be the slogan. It's your time, baby.
Hey, okay, you can take the one for free.
Yeah.
We trade you for
It's a
one
gift
of
from
these
1FM.
luxury
Yeah.
timepieces. A little bit more about the watch auction. How can people get involved if they would like to maybe see the pieces, also take part in the auction? What do we do?
Go online. You can book an appointment starting Monday. We have a lot of everyday viewings open. You can book a slot and come and see amazing collection of vintage, modern, independent, also amazing pocket watch selection. So please come. It's an amazing selection.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well curated, crazy rare collections.
And your website would be? Where can we find out?
www.futuregrail.com.
And you have an Instagram, can we get in touch with you, see all your beautiful pieces and social media?
Future Grail Official. This is our Instagram handle, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ali Nael, for joining us here in the studio. I think I've learned a lot, and I really love that piece that's on your wrist. Thank you so much for sharing all the stories as well.
Can I give you my Apple Watch? And
For
you
my
do
left
yours?
hand or right hand?